Welcome to Legendary Night Tales, where stories of technology and history come alive with art that feels both retro and futuristic. If you enjoy these journeys, remember to like and subscribe to help support future legendary stories. In this video, we explore this chapter introduces the earliest forms of writing, exploring how ancient civilizations began to record information using symbols and marks on various materials, told in simple words with a vision inspired by retro-futuristic dreams. Chapter 1: Origins of Writing. In the quiet hush of ancient nights, long before the world was mapped and measured, people gazed at the stars and wondered how to remember the stories of their lives. They gathered around fires, their voices weaving tales that danced in the flickering light, but memories faded and words drifted away like smoke. As the sun rose over the first great rivers, the need to record grew stronger. In the valleys of the Tigris and Euphrates, where the reeds swayed gently in the wind, someone pressed a mark into soft clay. It was a simple wedge, a small sign, but it was the beginning of something vast. Soon, more marks followed, each one carrying a meaning, a name, a number, a prayer. The clay tablets dried in the sun, becoming silent witnesses to the thoughts and dreams of their makers. Along the banks of the Nile, scribes dipped reeds into black ink, drawing symbols onto smooth papyrus. Each stroke was careful, deliberate, a whisper from the past reaching into the future. The symbols grew into words, and words into sentences, capturing the wisdom of pharaohs and the secrets of the stars. In distant lands, on turtle shells and bones, ancient hands carved lines and dots, hoping to speak across time. The world was waking to the power of the written sign. In the cool shadows of stone temples, priests and scholars gathered, their fingers tracing the carved symbols on walls. These marks told of kings and gods, of floods and harvests, of battles and peace. The stories became more than just words spoken aloud. They became memories etched in stone, in clay, in ink. The earliest writing was not just for stories, but for counting and keeping track. A farmer would press a symbol for sheep, another for grain, and suddenly a whole season could be remembered. The markets of old cities hummed with trade, and every transaction left its mark. Writing was a tool for order, a way to bring shape to the chaos of daily life. Yet as the signs multiplied, so did their meanings. What began as simple pictures became complex systems, each civilization shaping its own script. In Sumer, cuneiform signs pressed into clay told of kings and conquests, of taxes and treaties. In Egypt, hieroglyphs lined the tombs, promising life beyond death. In China, oracle bones cracked with fire revealed the questions of rulers, their answers hidden in the patterns of the marks. The world was filled with the soft scratching of styluses, the gentle tapping of chisels, the quiet brush of ink. Every mark was a bridge, connecting the present to the past, one mind to another. The invention of writing was a slow dawn, spreading across continents and centuries. It was not the work of one person or one moment, but a tapestry woven by countless hands. Each symbol carried the weight of hope and the promise of memory. In the coolness of the night, a scribe might pause, feeling the quiet power of the marks beneath their hand. They understood that to write was to dream with eyes open, to give shape to thought and voice to silence. Over time, writing grew more refined. Alphabets emerged where each letter stood for a sound, and words could be built like houses from simple stones. In Phoenicia, traders carried their script across the sea, and the alphabet spread like ripples in water. The Greeks and Romans shaped these letters into new forms, and the written word became a tool for poetry, for law, for learning. Still, the memory of those first marks lingered. The soft clay, the cool stone, the flowing ink. Each material offered its own challenges, its own gifts. The act of writing was sacred, a ritual that linked the writer to the world. In quiet rooms filled with the scent of papyrus and parchment, scribes bent over their work, their minds wandering through the corridors of history. They knew that every mark was a message, a hope sent forward in time. As the centuries passed, writing became the foundation of civilization. Laws were written and read, stories were shared and remembered. Knowledge was preserved and passed down. The world grew larger, its history deeper, its dreams more vivid. And always at the heart of it all was the simple act of making a mark, of turning thought into symbol and symbol into memory. Tonight, as you listen and drift into sleep, imagine those ancient hands tracing lines in clay and ink. Imagine the quiet pride of the first writer holding a tablet to the sun, knowing that their story would outlast the night. In every word you hear, there is an echo of that long-ago wonder. The origins of writing are not just the story of marks on a page, but the story of us all, reaching out across time, hoping to be remembered. So let your mind wander through these ancient lands where symbols bloom like stars in the darkness. Rest now, carried by the gentle current of memory, and dream of the dawn when the world first found its voice. Chapter 2. Cuneiform, the wedge-shaped script. In the quiet dawn of ancient Mesopotamia, a new form of expression began to take shape. It was here, between the slow-moving rivers and the endless stretches of fertile land, that people first pressed reed styluses into soft clay, leaving behind marks that would become the earliest known writing. These marks, sharp and deliberate, formed the script we now call cuneiform. The word itself means wedge-shaped, for each symbol was created by the angled tip of a stylus, pressed gently but firmly into the clay. At first, these signs were simple, used to count sheep, measure grain, and keep track of trades and goods. But as the needs of the cities grew, so did the script. New signs appeared, each with its own meaning, each a tiny key to the world of the Sumerians. The clay tablets, once plain and unremarkable, became the silent witnesses of daily life. On them, scribes recorded debts and harvests, contracts and agreements, all in neat rows of wedges. The city-states of Uruk, and Lagash bustled with activity, and the cuneiform script became the backbone of their administration. In dimly lit rooms, scribes sat cross-legged, their hands steady, their minds focused. The soft squish of clay and the gentle tap of the stylus filled the air, a quiet music of order and memory. Each tablet was left to dry in the sun or baked in a kiln, making the words last for centuries, even millennia. Over time, the script evolved. What began as pictures and simple marks became a complex system, with hundreds of signs used for sounds, ideas, and names. Through cuneiform, stories were told, prayers were offered, and laws were set down. The famous Code of Hammurabi, with its detailed rules and judgments, was carved in these wedge-shaped lines for all to see. Yet cuneiform was not only for the rulers and the scribes. It was a bridge between the everyday and the eternal. On small tablets, children learned their lessons, repeating signs over and over until their hands remembered the shapes. Merchants used it to record their trades, priests to list offerings to the gods, and poets to write hymns and tales. The Epic of Gilgamesh, one of humanity's oldest stories, found its home in these marks. Its adventures and dreams pressed into clay for future generations. Imagine walking through a bustling market in Uruk. The air is warm and filled with the sounds of people trading, animals braying, and the distant call of temple bells. Somewhere nearby, a scribe sits behind a small table, his fingers stained with clay, his stylus ready. He listens carefully as a merchant describes a shipment of barley, then quickly records the details, each wedge a promise, each line a memory. The merchant nods in satisfaction, knowing his words are now preserved. As the sun sets, the city glows with the soft light of oil lamps. In the temples, priests chant ancient words, their voices rising and falling like the river's flow. They too rely on cuneiform, using it to keep track of offerings, rituals, and the movements of the stars. The script is everywhere, woven into the fabric of daily life. In quiet homes, mothers teach their children the first signs, guiding small hands to press the stylus just so. In the grand palaces, officials debate laws and taxes, their decisions quickly set down in clay. The world of cuneiform is a world of connection. It links the farmer in his field to the king in his palace, the merchant in the market to the priest in the temple. It holds together the stories of many lives, binding them into a single, enduring record. The act of writing itself was seen as a gift from the gods. The Sumerians believed that Nabu, the god of wisdom and writing, watched over the scribes, guiding their hands as they worked. To write was to honor the divine, to bring order from chaos, to give shape to thought and voice to memory. Over centuries, cuneiform spread beyond Sumer, reaching the Akkadians, Babylonians, Assyrians, and Hittites. Each culture adapted the script, adding new signs, new meanings, new uses. It became the language of diplomacy, of treaties and trade, of science and poetry. Even as new alphabets arose, cuneiform endured, its wedge-shaped marks a testament to the power of the written word. The tablets, some small enough to fit in the palm of a hand, others large and heavy with law codes or epic tales, survived long after the cities that made them fell to dust. Buried in the earth, they waited quietly for thousands of years until explorers and scholars unearthed them, brushed away the soil, and began to read the stories once more. Today, when we look at these ancient tablets, we see not just marks in clay, but the hopes, fears, and dreams of people long gone. We hear the voices of merchants and kings, of poets and priests, echoing across the ages. The invention of cuneiform was more than a tool for keeping records. It was a doorway into the world of imagination and memory. It allowed people to reach beyond their own time, to leave messages for those who would come after. In the soft glow of lamplight, as the last lines are pressed into the clay, there is a sense of peace. The day's work is done, the stories are safe, and the world is a little more connected. The gentle rhythm of the stylus, the quiet patience of the scribe, the lasting strength of the clay, all come together to form the heart of cuneiform, the wedge-shaped script that began the long journey of written language. And as night falls over ancient Mesopotamia, the tablets rest quietly, holding their secrets, waiting for the dawn of a new day. Chapter 3: Egyptian Hieroglyphs, Sacred Symbols. In the soft hush of ancient Egypt, where the Nile winds its eternal path, the world of hieroglyphs unfolds like a tapestry woven with mystery and devotion. These sacred symbols, more than mere marks on stone, shimmer with the weight of centuries. Each one is a vessel, holding prayers, hopes, and the secrets of a people who believed that words themselves could shape the fate of souls and kingdoms. In the golden glow of temple walls, artisans pressed reed to papyrus, chiseling or painting with a careful hand, each stroke a link to the divine. Hieroglyphs were not just a way to record daily life or transactions, they were the language of the gods, reserved for the most solemn and holy moments. The priests and scribes, guardians of these symbols, moved quietly through columns and shadows, their minds steeped in ritual, their hearts attuned to the sacred rhythm of the land. In this world, every sign had a purpose, every combination a hidden meaning. Some symbols conjured the sun's warmth, while others whispered of the afterlife, of journeys made by pharaohs and common folk alike. The air inside the temples was thick with incense and anticipation, as words carved into stone promised protection, guidance, and eternal life. The ceremonies, grand and intimate, unfolded beneath the watchful eyes of deities whose forms were both human and animal. Hieroglyphs danced along the walls, telling tales of creation, of battles won and lost, of offerings made in hope and gratitude. The act of writing was itself a ritual, a bridge between the mortal and the immortal. The scribe, with ink-stained fingers and a mind trained in centuries-old wisdom, became a conduit for the divine. Each symbol carefully chosen, each line measured, for a single mistake could alter the meaning, shifting the balance between chaos and order. The language was alive, evolving with each new generation, yet always rooted in the sacred traditions of the past. As the sun rose and set over the desert, the hieroglyphs glimmered in the changing light, their stories waiting to be read by those who understood their power. In the tombs of kings and queens, the walls became books of eternity, every surface covered in symbols meant to guide the departed through the perilous journey of the afterlife. Spells and prayers, names and titles, all meticulously inscribed to ensure safe passage and a place among the stars. The silence of these chambers was profound, broken only by the soft echo of footsteps or the distant call of a desert bird. Here the line between life and death blurred, and the written word became a lifeline, a map and a shield. The hieroglyphs, with their intricate shapes and poetic combinations, told of gods who sailed across the sky, of rivers that flowed with promise, and of the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Even in the bustling markets and crowded streets outside the temple walls, the influence of these symbols could be felt. Amulets inscribed with protective words hung from the necks of children and the elderly, while sacred scripts adorned the entrances of homes and businesses, offering blessings and warding off misfortune. The people of Egypt moved through their days surrounded by these signs, their meanings woven into the very fabric of life. Festivals and processions filled the air with music and laughter, yet always, in the background, the quiet presence of hieroglyphs reminded all of the deeper mysteries at play. The river carried boats laden with offerings, their sails filled with the breath of the gods, while on the banks, scribes recorded every detail, ensuring that nothing would be forgotten. In the cool shade of a palm grove, a young apprentice practiced the delicate art of writing, his teacher's voice guiding him through the labyrinth of symbols. Each lesson was a step closer to understanding, a journey into the heart of a language that was as much about feeling as it was about form. The apprentice's brush moved with trembling care, tracing lines that echoed the movements of stars and the flow of water. In this moment, the ancient tradition lived on, passed from hand to hand, mind to mind, across the rolling sands of time. The hieroglyphs, with their beauty and complexity, remain a testament to the enduring spirit of Egypt. They are windows into a world where the sacred and the everyday are forever entwined, and where the written word holds the promise of eternity. As night falls over the land of pyramids and temples, the symbols rest in quiet splendor, their meanings safe in the silence, waiting for the next dawn to bring their stories to life once more. Chapter 4. The Phoenician Alphabet, a revolutionary script. In the quiet glow of ancient harbors, where the gentle lapping of waves echoed against stone quays, a new way of writing began to take shape. The Phoenicians, master sailors and traders, lived along the narrow coastlines of what is now Lebanon. Their world was one of bustling markets, the scent of spices mingling with salt air, and ships laden with goods from distant lands. Yet amid these everyday exchanges, a subtle revolution was unfolding. The need to record transactions, agreements, and stories grew pressing as trade flourished. Older forms of writing, like cuneiform and hieroglyphs, were beautiful but complex. Only a select few could master their many symbols and rules. But the Phoenicians sought something different. They wanted a script that was simple, flexible, and could travel as easily as their ships. They began to pare down the old systems, stripping away the layers of pictograms and complicated marks. What emerged was a set of symbols, just a few dozen, each representing a single sound. This was the birth of the alphabet. Each letter was clear and easy to learn, a tool for merchants and sailors, not just priests and scribes. In the soft light of evening, a Phoenician trader might sit by a flickering lamp, practicing these new letters on a scrap of pottery. The shapes were simple, almost like waves or sails, and soon they became second nature. With every stroke, the act of writing became less mysterious, more accessible. The alphabet spread quickly, carried by the tides of trade. As ships set out across the Mediterranean, the script went with them, inscribed on cargo tallies, contracts, and messages home. In distant ports, local peoples saw its elegance and began to adopt it, adapting the shapes to their own tongues. The Greeks, for example, borrowed the Phoenician letters and gave them new sounds, creating the foundation for their own alphabet. Over time, the Phoenician script became the ancestor of many writing systems, including Latin, which would one day shape much of the Western world. The simplicity of the alphabet was its genius. Instead of hundreds of symbols, there were just a handful, each standing for a sound that could be combined in endless ways. This new approach made it possible for ordinary people to learn to read and write, opening the door to wider communication and record-keeping. In the hush of night, one can imagine the first hesitant letters scratched into clay, the pride of a young trader writing his name for the first time. The alphabet was not just a tool for business, but a bridge between cultures. As traders met in the markets of Tyre or Sidon, they could now share ideas and agreements more easily. Stories and histories could be recorded with newfound clarity, preserving the voices of a people whose legacy would travel far beyond their shores. The Phoenician alphabet was more than just a script. It was a quiet revolution that changed the way humans connected. It made writing portable, adaptable, and enduring. Its letters, born from the needs of trade and travel, carried with them the spirit of the open sea. Even as centuries passed and empires rose and fell, the influence of these simple signs continued to ripple outward. The alphabet's journey was not always smooth. In some places, it encountered resistance from those who clung to older ways. Yet its advantages were undeniable. As more people learned to write, knowledge spread more quickly. Laws, poetry, and wisdom could be shared across generations and borders. The act of writing became part of daily life, not just a privilege for the elite. In the cool shade of a Phoenician courtyard, a father might teach his child the letters, tracing them in the dust with a stick. The child's laughter, mingling with the distant call of gulls, signaled a new era, one where stories and dreams could be written down and remembered. The alphabet's simplicity also made it adaptable. As it journeyed to new lands, its shapes shifted and changed, reflecting the sounds of different languages. Yet the core idea remained the same, a small set of symbols, easy to learn, powerful in their combinations. This flexibility allowed the alphabet to survive and thrive, even as cultures changed. In the golden light of dawn, a scribe might pause to admire the beauty of a freshly written line, the letters flowing like water across the page. There was a quiet satisfaction in knowing that these marks could be read by anyone who had learned their secret. The Phoenician script became a common thread, weaving together distant peoples and times. Its legacy can still be felt today in the letters we use to write our own stories. The journey of the alphabet is a reminder that even the simplest ideas can have profound effects. What began as a practical solution for busy merchants became a cornerstone of human civilization. The Phoenician alphabet, born of necessity and shaped by the rhythms of trade, continues to echo through the ages. Its letters, once scratched into clay and inked onto papyrus, now live on in the words we speak and the stories we share. As you drift towards sleep, imagine those ancient harbors, the glow of lanterns on midnight water, and the quiet hands that shape the letters of the world. The story of the Phoenician alphabet is not just about writing, but about connection, about the ways we reach across time and distance to share our thoughts, our hopes, and our dreams. In every word written tonight, there is a trace of that first revolutionary script, so simple, so enduring, and so full of possibility. Chapter 5: Greek Adaptations and Innovations. In the gentle hush of ancient times, as the Mediterranean world shimmered beneath a sun that seemed to promise new beginnings, the Greeks gazed across the sea and saw more than distant lands. They saw possibility in the lines and shapes of the Phoenician alphabet, a script that carried the voices of traders and travelers, of stories and secrets, from port to port. The Greeks, curious and inventive, welcomed these foreign marks into their own world. But as they did so, they began to wonder, could these symbols be made even clearer, more beautiful, more alive? As the soft winds carried the scent of olives and the distant laughter of children playing in the agora, Greek scribes sat beneath shaded colonnades, unrolling scrolls and tracing the Phoenician letters with careful hands. They noticed something missing in the flow of these symbols, a certain music, a fullness of sound, the gentle breath between consonants. And so, with a quiet sense of daring, the Greeks introduced something new: vowels. These simple signs, each one a doorway to a different sound, allowed their words to sing and their meanings to shine with new clarity. Now, the script could capture not just the bones of language, but its spirit. The names of gods and heroes, the poetry of Sappho, the wisdom of philosophers, all became easier to read and share. In the cool evenings, as the stars appeared one by one over stone temples and winding streets, children learned their letters by lamplight. Their voices danced from alpha to omega, each vowel a soft echo in the night, each word a thread in the growing tapestry of Greek culture. With every inscription carved into marble, every message sent between cities, the Greek alphabet grew more distinct, more expressive. It became a bridge between peoples and generations, allowing ideas to travel farther and last longer. The Greeks did not stop at vowels. They played with the shapes of letters, smoothing the rough edges, curving lines and balancing forms until the alphabet felt like a reflection of their own artistry. In their bustling markets and quiet sanctuaries, written words became as much a part of daily life as the songs of birds or the rhythm of the sea. Scribes found joy in the act of writing, knowing that each letter carried not just sound, but meaning and memory. The new alphabet made it possible to record laws, to write down epic tales, to preserve the teachings of wise thinkers for those yet to be born. It was as if the Greeks, by adapting and innovating, had given their language wings. In the gentle glow of the setting sun, a teacher would gather students beneath an olive tree, tracing letters in the dust, encouraging them to listen for the music within each word. The students would smile, repeating the vowels softly, feeling the connection between breath, sound, and thought. Across the land, from mountain villages to shining cities, the Greek alphabet became a quiet revolution. It changed not only how people wrote, but how they imagined, remembered, and dreamed. Through these innovations, the Greeks laid the foundation for a written tradition that would echo through centuries, inspiring poets, philosophers, and storytellers far beyond their own shores. The alphabet, with its new clarity and grace, allowed the wisdom of the past to flow gently into the future, like a stream winding through fields of possibility. And so, as night settled over the ancient world, the voices of the Greeks, clearer, fuller, and more expressive than ever before, continued to whisper their stories to those who listened, inviting all to join in the wonder of language and the endless journey of discovery. Chapter 6. Roman Script and Public Inscriptions. In the heart of ancient Rome, where the city's bustle mingled with the steady rhythm of footsteps on stone, the legacy of Roman script was written not just on parchment, but into the very fabric of public life. The Romans, with their deep respect for order and permanence, understood that words could shape the world as surely as stone and marble. Their script, bold and deliberate, adorned the arches and facades of grand temples, echoing the power of the empire across centuries. As the sun rose over the forum, its gentle light traced the elegant lines and curves of Latin letters carved into monuments, each inscription a voice from the past, whispering stories of triumph, law, and memory. These letters, carefully chiseled by skilled hands, told of emperors and senators, victories and dedications, and the shared values that bound the Roman people together. The use of script in Rome was far more than a tool for communication. It was a symbol of authority and unity, a bridge between the rulers and the ruled, the gods and the mortals. Each inscription was a promise that the deeds and decisions of the present would endure, visible for all to see and remember. Walking through the city, a visitor would find public spaces alive with messages, edicts and proclamations etched into marble, legal codes displayed in the open, ensuring that all citizens, rich or poor, could know the laws that governed their lives. The act of inscribing law and history in public places was a profound statement of transparency and accountability, a reminder that Rome's greatness rested on shared knowledge and shared responsibility. The grandeur of monumental architecture was elevated by the presence of script, transforming stone into a living document, a testament to the aspirations and achievements of generations. In the shadow of towering columns and beneath the arches of triumphal gates, the script guided the eye and the mind, inviting onlookers to reflect on the meaning of power, justice, and legacy. The legal documents of Rome, written with precision on papyrus and wax tablets, traveled through the hands of officials, merchants, and citizens, weaving a web of agreements, contracts, and decrees that kept the vast empire connected. These documents were more than mere records. They were instruments of trust and order, each signature and seal a mark of faith in the system that sustained Roman society. The careful preservation of legal texts in archives and libraries was an act of reverence for knowledge, ensuring that the wisdom and experience of the past could guide future generations. The monumental inscriptions, meanwhile, stood as silent witnesses to the unfolding drama of Roman history, their words outlasting the voices that first spoke them. In the quiet hours of dusk, as the city softened into shadow, the letters on stone seemed to glow with a gentle promise that memory endures and that the stories of Rome would not be forgotten. The art of inscribing words was itself a discipline, demanding patience, skill, and a deep understanding of the language's beauty. Scribes and stonecutters labored together, transforming ideas into enduring forms, each stroke a meditation on meaning and permanence. The process was both practical and sacred, for in shaping the letters, they shaped the way Rome would be remembered. The public inscriptions became part of the city's rhythm, marking sacred spaces, honoring the dead and celebrating the living. They told of victories in distant lands, the dedication of temples to the gods, and the generosity of benefactors who gave to the common good. The language of these inscriptions was often formal and poetic, reflecting the gravity of the events they commemorated, yet accessible enough to be understood by all who passed by. Even as empires rose and fell, the script remained, a quiet continuity threading through the chaos of history. The influence of Roman script extended far beyond the city's walls, carried by legions and traders to distant provinces, where local traditions blended with Roman customs. In the farthest reaches of the empire, from the misty shores of Britannia to the sun-baked streets of Africa, the Latin alphabet took root, shaping the languages and literatures of future civilizations. The legacy of these inscriptions can still be felt today, in the way we record history, proclaim laws, and mark our own achievements in stone and story. The Romans believed that words, once set in stone, became part of the eternal order of things, a belief that gave their inscriptions a sense of solemnity and hope. To stand before a Roman inscription is to feel the presence of countless lives, each one contributing to the tapestry of memory that is Rome. The city itself became a living archive, its buildings and monuments inscribed with the dreams and deeds of its people. In the hush of night, when the crowds have faded and the city rests, the words remain, holding the echoes of voices long gone. The story of Roman script and public inscriptions is a story of connection between past and present, ruler and citizen, word and world. It is a reminder that the act of writing is both an assertion of identity and a gift to the future, a way of ensuring that the lessons and legacies of today will continue to inspire tomorrow. As you drift into sleep, imagine the streets of ancient Rome lined with marble and memory, each inscription a gentle lullaby carrying the wisdom of ages. Let the calm strength of these words guide your dreams, and know that in every corner of history, the written word endures, lighting the way through the darkness, one letter at a time. Chapter 7: Chinese Oracle Bones and Early Scripts. In the pale hush of ancient China, before the world was measured by clocks and calendars, there was a quiet curiosity that stirred beneath the surface of daily life. People gazed at the sky and the earth, searching for meaning in the shifting winds and the silent stars. In this gentle world, the earliest forms of Chinese writing began to take shape, born from the need to understand the unknown and to speak with the spirits that seemed to linger just beyond the reach of sight. The story begins with simple questions. Would the harvest be plentiful? Would the rains come on time? Would ancestors guide and protect their descendants? These questions were whispered into the bones of animals and the shells of turtles, carefully prepared by skilled hands, each stroke and mark filled with the hope of an answer. Oracle bones, as they came to be known, became the silent witnesses to dreams and fears, their surfaces carved with symbols that carried the weight of entire lives. The process was sacred and slow. First, the bones and shells were cleaned and polished, their surfaces made smooth for the delicate work to come. Then, with a steady hand, the diviner etched small cracks and lines, asking the spirits to speak through the patterns that would emerge. As the bones were heated, the cracks deepened, branching like rivers across a landscape, each one a possible answer to the questions of the heart. The symbols that adorned these bones were not yet the elegant characters we know today, but they held the seeds of a script that would blossom over centuries. Each mark was a promise, a bridge between the human world and the mysteries beyond. Families gathered in quiet rooms, their breath held as the diviner read the messages in the bones, interpreting the will of the ancestors and the rhythms of nature. These moments were filled with a gentle awe, as if the very air shimmered with the presence of unseen guides. Over time, the practice of divination became woven into the fabric of daily life. The bones and shells, once discarded after their readings, began to be kept as records, their surfaces a living archive of hopes, fears, and decisions. In these ancient archives, the earliest forms of Chinese writing took their first steady steps. At first, the symbols were simple and pictorial: a line for a river, a curve for the moon, a cluster of strokes for a field of crops. Each sign was a story in itself, a small window into the world as it was seen and felt by those who lived long ago. As the years passed, these symbols grew more complex, their meanings layered and refined. The script evolved, shaped by the hands and minds of countless scribes, each adding their own quiet touch to the unfolding story of language. The oracle bones became more than tools of divination. They became a way to remember, to record, to reach across the barriers of time. In the glow of lamplight, scholars pored over the old bones, tracing the lines with gentle fingers, listening for the echoes of voices long faded. They found questions about the weather, about battles and sickness, about the cycles of the moon and the fates of kings. Each inscription was a thread in a vast tapestry, weaving together the hopes and struggles of generations. The early script was not only a means of communication, but a reflection of the world itself. It captured the rhythms of nature, the patterns of thought, the pulse of a society learning to understand itself. In these ancient writings, we glimpse the first attempts to make sense of life's mysteries, to find order in chaos, and to leave a mark upon the world that would endure beyond a single lifetime. The oracle bones, with their delicate cracks and careful carvings, became a bridge between earth and sky, past and future. Through them, the living spoke to the dead, and the dead answered in the language of symbols and signs. The act of writing became a ritual, a way to honor what had come before and to prepare for what lay ahead. In the quiet rooms where bones were read and questions asked, a new kind of memory was born, one that could be passed from hand to hand, from heart to heart, across the endless sweep of time. The early Chinese script, shaped by the needs of divination and record-keeping, grew into a living language, rich with meaning and possibility. It carried the wisdom of the ancestors, the dreams of the present, and the hopes for the future. As we look back on these ancient bones and the marks they bear, we are reminded of the gentle persistence of those who came before us, their desire to know, to remember, to connect. The story of Chinese oracle bones and early scripts is a story of quiet wonder, of small questions and great answers, of the slow unfolding of language in the soft light of dawn. In these old symbols, the past whispers to us still, inviting us to listen, to wonder, and to dream. Chapter 8. Mayan Glyphs, Writing in the Americas. In the quiet jungles of ancient Mesoamerica, long before the arrival of European explorers, the Maya people shaped a world of cities and temples, woven together by their own intricate language. The heart of this language was not spoken but carved and painted, a complex system of glyphs that danced across stone, wood, and delicate codices made from bark. Each glyph was a small universe, a bundle of meaning that could represent a sound, a word, or an entire idea. The Maya did not write in simple lines but in clusters, where signs combined and recombined, telling stories of kings and gods, of battles and celebrations, of the movement of stars and the passing of seasons. Imagine a scribe at work, seated on a woven mat, a brush in hand, dipping into rich black ink made from soot and tree sap. With careful strokes, the scribe brings to life the story of a king's birth, the record of a solar eclipse, or a prayer to the rain god. The glyphs flow in double columns, curling and looping, each one distinct yet part of a larger tapestry. Some glyphs show faces with elaborate headdresses, others are stylized animals or hands, while some are pure abstraction, their meanings hidden behind centuries of change. The Maya believed that writing was a gift from the gods, a sacred tool that connected the world of humans to the world of spirits. Their scribes were more than record keepers. They were keepers of memory, guardians of knowledge, and sometimes magicians who could shape fate with their words. The glyphs themselves were alive, filled with power. To read them was to unlock stories that stretched back through generations, to hear the voices of ancestors, and to glimpse the movements of time itself. The Maya wrote about the rise and fall of dynasties, the building of great pyramids, the rituals that marked the turning of the year. They recorded the names of rulers and their deeds. the tributes paid by distant cities, the marriages that bound kingdoms together. In their books, called codices, they mapped the heavens with astonishing precision, tracking the cycles of Venus and the moon, predicting eclipses and marking the days for planting and harvest. Their understanding of time was deep and layered. They counted not just days and months, but cycles within cycles, each one marked by its own glyph, its own story. The long count calendar, famous for its vast reach, was written in glyphs that could name a single day across thousands of years. The Maya saw time as a living thing, turning and returning, a great wheel that linked the past, present, and future. To them, writing was a way to hold on to moments, to make them last beyond the span of a single life. The walls of their cities are covered with these stories. On tall stone stelae, the deeds of kings are carved for all to see. In dark temple chambers, painted murals tell of creation and destruction, of gods who shape the world and heroes who journey through the underworld. The glyphs are everywhere, a silent chorus that still whispers through the ruins. Today, much of the Maya writing has been lost. The Spanish conquest brought fire and fear, and many codices were burned. Their secrets turned to ash. But enough survived to give us glimpses of a world where words had weight and power. Modern scholars have spent decades piecing together the puzzle, learning to read the glyphs once more. Each discovery is like opening a window into the past, letting in a little more light, a little more understanding. The Maya wrote not just for themselves, but for the generations yet to come. They wanted their stories to endure, to be read and remembered, even as cities crumbled and forests grew thick around their temples. In the rhythm of their glyphs, we hear echoes of laughter and sorrow, of triumph and loss. The writing is both art and science, a bridge across time and space. As you drift through this chapter, imagine the patient hands of the scribes, the cool stone beneath their fingers, the quiet hum of the jungle beyond the walls. Picture the slow unfolding of a story, each glyph a stepping stone along a path that winds through history. The Maya believed that to write was to make something real, to give shape to dreams and memories. Their glyphs are not just marks on a page, but living threads that bind us to their world. In the gentle glow of torchlight, a scribe leans closer, adding the final flourish to a page. The story is complete, but the journey of the glyphs continues, flowing onward through time, waiting for new eyes to read and remember. So tonight, let these ancient signs carry you into sleep, their shapes and stories weaving through your dreams, connecting you to the distant, mysterious world of the Maya. Chapter 9. The Role of Scribes in Ancient Societies. In the quiet dawn of ancient cities, as the first rays of sunlight touched the rooftops of mud brick houses, a figure would often be seen moving silently through the winding streets. This was the scribe, a person whose hands carried the weight of civilizations, whose eyes scanned lines of symbols, and whose mind held the secrets of kings and commoners alike. The world of the scribe was filled with the soft rustle of papyrus and the gentle tapping of a stylus on wet clay. In these ancient societies, where memory alone could not preserve the stories and records of a growing people, the scribe became the living bridge between the past and the future. Their work was not only to record, but to interpret, to make sense of the world's events and translate them into marks that would last beyond the fleeting present. In temples, palaces, and bustling marketplaces, scribes could be found hunched over their writing boards, copying decrees, tallying harvests, and preserving the words of gods and rulers. Theirs was a life of patience and discipline, marked by the steady rhythm of repetition and the careful attention to detail that turned simple sounds into the symbols of language. Each day, as the city awoke, the scribe's role unfolded in quiet importance. They were called upon to record births and deaths, to witness contracts, to count the stores of grain that would feed a nation through lean seasons. They wrote the prayers that would be spoken in temples, the laws that would keep order, and the stories that would give meaning to the lives of their people. In the flickering light of oil lamps, the scribe's world was one of concentration and care. The faint scent of ink and the soft glow of lamp oil filled the air as they worked late into the night, their thoughts drifting between the lines of poetry and the columns of numbers that shaped the destiny of their society. Scribes were more than mere recorders. They were trusted advisors, called upon by rulers to interpret omens, to draft treaties, and to craft the words that would echo through generations. Their knowledge of language and law gave them a special place in the hierarchy of ancient life. They often moved between worlds, bridging the sacred and the mundane, the royal and the common. In their hands, the wisdom of the ancients was not only preserved, but given new life each time a text was copied, a story retold, or a contract inscribed. To be a scribe was to be a keeper of memory, to hold in one's mind the stories of ancestors, the wisdom of priests, and the ambitions of kings. The tools of the scribe were simple, yet powerful. A reed stylus, a slab of clay, a roll of papyrus. With these, they captured the hopes and fears of an entire people. The act of writing was an act of trust, a belief that words could shape reality and bind together the fabric of society. In the cool shade of a temple courtyard, a young scribe might listen as an elder recited the tales of gods and heroes, learning to shape the sounds of language into the marks that would outlast their own brief lives. Through careful instruction and years of practice, the apprentice would become the master, and the cycle of knowledge would continue. The importance of scribes stretched far beyond the walls of the city. In distant lands, they carried messages between rulers, brought news of distant battles, and recorded the tribute of conquered peoples. Their work connected cities and kingdoms, weaving a web of communication that held the ancient world together. Scribes were the first historians, the first librarians, the first keepers of the public trust. They saw the world through the eyes of many, and their words became the threads that bound together the tapestry of history. In times of peace, scribes chronicled the festivals and ceremonies that brought people together. In times of war, they recorded the names of the fallen and the outcomes of battles, ensuring that the sacrifices of the past would not be forgotten. Their records became the foundation for future generations, a guide for those who would come after, seeking to understand the triumphs and tragedies of their ancestors. The life of a scribe was not always easy. The demands of accuracy and the pressures of authority weighed heavily on their shoulders. A single mistake could change the fate of a family, a city, or an entire kingdom. Yet in the quiet spaces between words, scribes found meaning and purpose. They knew that their work was essential, that the stories they preserved would one day become the memories of a people. As the sun set over the city, casting long shadows across the streets, the scribe's day would draw to a close. In the fading light, they would carefully store away their tools, roll up their scrolls, and reflect on the events they had witnessed and recorded. Their minds would wander through the corridors of time, imagining the distant future when someone, perhaps centuries later, would unroll a scroll and read the words they had so carefully inscribed. In this way, the scribe became immortal. Their presence felt long after their footsteps had faded from the earth. The role of the scribe was both humble and grand. They were the quiet custodians of civilization, the unseen hands that shaped the destiny of nations. Through drought and plenty, through peace and war, the scribes' work endured. Their legacy is found not only in the tablets and scrolls they left behind, but in the very fabric of human memory. In the stillness of the ancient world, as night settled over the city and the last lamp was extinguished, the scribes' words remained. Silent witnesses to the hopes and dreams of those who came before, and gentle guides for those who would one day seek wisdom in the stories of the past. Chapter 10. Materials and Tools of Ancient Writing. In the gentle hush of ancient times, when the world was still young and the art of writing was a mysterious gift, people sought ways to capture their stories, their trades, their hopes, and their prayers. The earliest scribes did not have paper or pens as we know them today. Instead, their world was shaped by the materials at hand: clay, reeds, stones, and the quiet patience of human hands. Imagine a craftsman kneeling beside a river, his fingers dipping into the soft, cool mud, shaping a small tablet that would soon hold the words of kings and merchants. Each tablet was a blank promise, a surface waiting to be transformed by the careful touch of a stylus. The stylus itself, perhaps cut from a slender reed or carved from bone, was a simple tool, yet it held the power to press meaning into wet clay. With each gentle impression, a wedge or a line, the scribe recorded agreements, stories, and dreams, building a silent language that would last long after the voices faded. As the sun warmed the earth, the clay tablets were left to dry, hardening under the open sky or in the gentle embrace of a fire. These tablets, once soft and yielding, became sturdy records, able to survive the passage of centuries. The marks pressed into them were not just letters or numbers. They were echoes of human thought, preserved in the earth itself. In bustling cities, scribes carried baskets of fresh clay, their hands stained with the memory of countless words. The act of writing was a ritual, a bridge between the fleeting moment and the enduring past. Not all writing was shaped in clay. Farther along the riverbanks, another marvel awaited: the tall, slender stalks of papyrus. Harvested and sliced into thin strips, the papyrus was pressed and dried, layer upon layer, until it formed a smooth, pale sheet. It felt crisp beneath the hand, a gentle rustle as it was unrolled, ready to receive ink. The ink was made from soot and water, or from the deep, rich hues of crushed berries and minerals, mixed with the sap of plants. With a reed brush or sharpened quill, the scribe dipped into the dark liquid and traced elegant lines across the page. The words flowed in graceful curves and angles, telling tales of gods and heroes, of daily life and distant lands. In quiet corners, the scribe paused, listening to the scratch of his tool, the soft whisper of papyrus, the steady beat of his own heart. Each word was a small act of devotion, a way to honor the beauty of language and the power of memory. Across the ancient world, materials varied with the land. In some places, people carved words into stone, chiseling deep into the surface so that the message would endure against wind and rain. In others, animal skins were stretched and scraped until they became smooth parchment, ready to hold the careful ink of poets and scholars. No matter the material, the tools were always an extension of the hand and the mind, shaped by need and by imagination. The stylus, the reed, the chisel, the brush, all were bridges from thought to form, from fleeting idea to lasting record. These tools were treasured, passed down from teacher to student, from parent to child, each one carrying the marks of its own history. The act of writing was more than a task. It was a craft, a meditation, a quiet art that bound people together across generations. In the flickering light of oil lamps, scribes bent over their work, their faces calm and focused, their hands steady and sure. The world outside might be filled with noise and uncertainty, but within the circle of lamplight, there was order and meaning. Scrolls and tablets piled up, each one a fragment of a larger story, each one a thread in the tapestry of human experience. The tools of writing were humble, yet they opened the door to wonder. Through them, the wisdom of the past could speak to the present, and dreams could be carried forward into the future. In the quiet moments between words, the scribe might look up and imagine distant lands, lost cities, and the endless river of time. The materials and tools of ancient writing were shaped by the earth, by water, by fire, and by the gentle strength of human hands. They remind us that every word we write is both fragile and enduring, a small miracle born from the meeting of mind and matter. As we drift through the echoes of history, let us remember the quiet dedication of those who shaped the first words, who pressed meaning into clay and inked their hopes onto papyrus. Their legacy endures in every story we tell, every letter we trace, every dream we share. And so the gentle art of writing continues, linking us to the ancient world and to each other across the silent sweep of time. Chapter 11. Preserving Knowledge, Libraries and Archives. In the gentle hush of ancient cities, where the sun rose over stone walls and the world was still waking to the promise of civilization, the first libraries and archives began to take shape. These were not merely collections of clay tablets or scrolls, but sanctuaries of wisdom, built by hands that understood the power of memory and the fragility of knowledge. Within these cool, shadowed halls, the air was thick with the scent of parchment, ink, and earth. Scribes moved quietly, their footsteps echoing softly on worn stone floors as they carefully inscribed tales, laws, and discoveries onto tablets and papyrus. Each line was a thread in the tapestry of human understanding, a bridge from one generation to the next. In these early repositories, the wisdom of kings and the teachings of priests found a home, safe from the chaos of time and the threat of forgetting. The walls of these archives were lined with shelves that cradled the stories of empires, the secrets of medicine, the songs of poets, and the calculations of astronomers. Outside, the world might have been noisy with the bustle of markets or the clamor of busy streets, but inside the library, a deep and sacred silence reigned. Here, knowledge was cherished as a living thing, tended by careful hands and curious minds. The great libraries of the ancient world, like those in Nippur or Nineveh, became beacons for travelers and scholars seeking answers to questions both practical and profound. They arrived from distant lands, drawn by the promise of learning and the hope that within these walls they might find the keys to unlock the mysteries of their own lives. The guardians of these archives were more than keepers of books. They were stewards of memory, tasked with preserving the voices of the past so that the future might listen and learn. In the flickering light of oil lamps, they would unroll scrolls or turn tablets, their eyes scanning lines of cuneiform or hieroglyph, deciphering the wisdom left behind by those who had come before. Sometimes a single tablet might contain a poem, a prayer, or a record of a great flood. Sometimes a scroll would hold the secrets of healing herbs or the movements of distant stars. Each fragment was precious, a piece of the puzzle that made up the story of humanity. The architecture of these libraries reflected the reverence with which knowledge was held. Grand entrances welcomed visitors, while inner chambers offered quiet spaces for study and contemplation. Walls were adorned with carvings and symbols, reminders of the sacred duty carried out within. The very act of entering a library was a step into another world, one where the voices of the past whispered encouragement and caution in equal measure. As years passed and empires rose and fell, some libraries were lost to fire or war, their treasures scattered or destroyed. Yet the idea of the library endured, carried forward by those who understood its value. In every age, there were people willing to risk much to save a single story, to hide a scroll or copy a tablet, ensuring that knowledge would not vanish with the turning of a dynasty or the crumbling of a city wall. The Epic of Gilgamesh itself, a tale of friendship, loss, and the search for meaning, survived because of such devotion. It was copied and recopied, stored in libraries and archives, cherished by generations who saw in its lines a mirror of their own hopes and fears. The story became a thread woven through the fabric of many cultures, a testament to the enduring power of preserved knowledge. Within the walls of these ancient repositories, other works too found shelter, myths that explained the origins of the world, laws that guided justice, hymns that reached toward the divine. Each tablet and scroll was a promise to the future, a quiet assurance that wisdom would not be lost, even as the world changed. The keepers of these libraries were often unsung heroes, working in the shadows, their names forgotten, but their efforts remembered in every story that survived the centuries. They understood that knowledge was both fragile and resilient, able to withstand the ravages of time if only it was cared for with patience and love. In the quiet moments before dawn, a scribe might pause, feeling the weight of history in their hands, aware that their work was part of something much larger than themselves. The libraries and archives of the ancient world were more than buildings. They were living memories, places where the past was kept alive and the seeds of the future were sown. The gentle turning of a scroll, the careful stacking of tablets, the whispered prayers for preservation, all these acts were expressions of hope, gestures of faith in the power of human curiosity and the desire to understand. Even as empires faded and languages changed, the dream of the library persisted, inspiring new generations to gather, protect, and share the wisdom of the ages. In the soft glow of lamplight, surrounded by the quiet breathing of countless stories, the ancient archivists found purpose and peace. Their legacy endures in every book, every archive, every digital library that seeks to keep the light of knowledge burning bright against the darkness of forgetting. And so, as you drift into sleep, imagine the gentle hush of those ancient halls, the steady hands of scribes at work, and the enduring promise that every story, once preserved, becomes a gift for all who follow. Chapter 12. Writing and Power, Royal Decrees and Laws. In the ancient world, the power of words was not only in the stories told by the fireside, but in the authority inscribed upon stone, clay, and tablets that endured long after voices fell silent. In the lands where the Epic of Gilgamesh was born, writing became a tool wielded by kings and rulers to shape the destiny of their people. Imagine the city of Uruk, its walls rising under the watchful gaze of a ruler who understood that true strength was not only built in brick and mortar, but also in the careful crafting of laws and decrees. The king's scribes would gather, their styluses poised over wet clay, ready to record the words that would ripple through generations. With each impression, the king's will was transformed into an unbreakable record, a silent proclamation that reached every corner of the land. These decrees were more than mere announcements. They were the living breath of authority, commanding respect and obedience from all who read them or heard them spoken aloud in crowded squares. The people would listen, heads bowed, as the words of the king traveled from the stone slabs at the city's gates to the farthest villages, carried by trusted messengers and echoed in the hearts of those who sought order and protection. The air would hum with expectation as a new law was unveiled, its cuneiform script glinting in the sunlight, each wedge-shaped mark a promise or a warning. In these moments, writing was not a simple act of communication. It was a force that shaped lives, settled disputes, and drew the invisible lines of power that held society together. As you drift through this world, picture the monumental inscriptions that dotted the landscape, towering stelae and walls etched with the deeds of kings, their victories, and their judgments. These carvings were more than decoration. They were reminders, ever present and unyielding, of the ruler's reach and the order he imposed. To approach such an inscription was to stand in the shadow of authority, to feel the weight of the words pressing gently against your thoughts, guiding your actions, and stirring a quiet sense of awe. Laws were carefully crafted, each word chosen with purpose, each phrase balanced to bring harmony or to warn of consequences. The scribes, respected and precise, would spend hours perfecting the shape of every sign, knowing that a single misplaced mark could alter the meaning and the fate of those who lived beneath the law's gaze. In the cool halls of the palace, illuminated by flickering oil lamps, these scribes worked in silence, their concentration deep and their responsibility great. The clay tablets they produced were stored in archives, stacked neatly, waiting to be consulted in times of uncertainty or conflict. When a dispute arose, the words of the king, written long ago, would be summoned like a quiet voice from the past, settling arguments and restoring balance. The people trusted in these written laws, for they brought a sense of stability and predictability to a world that could often feel chaotic and uncertain. The king's decrees touched every aspect of life, from trade and taxes to marriage and inheritance, from the punishment of crimes to the celebration of festivals. Each decree was a thread in the vast tapestry of society, woven with care and intention, binding the people together in shared understanding. The monumental inscriptions, meanwhile, told stories of triumph and justice, of battles fought and peace restored. They stood as silent witnesses to the passage of time, their messages enduring even as generations came and went. To read these inscriptions, or to hear them recited by a trusted elder, was to connect with the past, to feel the steady hand of authority guiding the present and shaping the future. The art of writing in this age was inseparable from the exercise of power. It was both shield and sword, protecting the vulnerable and enforcing the will of those who ruled. In the stillness of the night, when the city's bustle faded and only the distant call of night birds could be heard, the words inscribed in stone and clay remained, steadfast and unchanging. They whispered of order and justice, of promises kept and boundaries drawn. In this way, the written word became a quiet companion to every citizen, a gentle reminder of the structure that held their world together. Even as rulers changed and empires rose and fell, the laws and decrees endured. Their authority renewed with each generation that learned to read and respect their meaning. The legacy of these writings is not just in the physical marks left behind, but in the enduring sense of order and unity they inspired. As you let your mind wander through these ancient streets and palaces, feel the calm certainty that comes from knowing that words, carefully chosen and faithfully recorded, can shape the fate of a people. The story of writing and power is the story of civilization itself. The quiet strength found in the lines of a decree, the hope carried in the promise of justice, and the deep comfort of knowing that, even in the face of uncertainty, there is a guiding hand, steady and wise, inscribing the path forward. Chapter 13. The Decline of Ancient Scripts. In the waning light of ancient times, the world was a tapestry woven with many scripts, each a silent witness to the rise and fall of civilizations. The first of these scripts, carved into stone or pressed into clay, held the secrets of empires and the wisdom of countless generations. But as the centuries drifted by, the steady march of time brought new voices, new tongues, and new ways of recording thought. The old scripts, once vibrant and alive with meaning, began to fade from memory, their lines softening like footprints in the sand after a gentle tide. In the bustling markets and quiet temples, the familiar shapes of cuneiform and hieroglyphics grew rare, replaced by the flowing forms of languages that heralded new powers and new beliefs. People who once spent years learning the intricate symbols now turned their attention to simpler, more accessible alphabets. The world was changing, and with every change, some part of the old world quietly slipped away. In the heart of Mesopotamia, tablets that once pulsed with the stories of kings and gods lay buried beneath layers of dust, their messages slowly forgotten as new rulers brought their own words and customs. The scribes, once revered as keepers of knowledge, watched as their skills became less needed, their craft a relic of an era slipping into twilight. Across the Nile, the sacred language of Egypt, inscribed on temple walls and tombs, began to lose its hold on the people. Foreign powers arrived, bringing with them new scripts that promised easier learning and broader communication. The old hieroglyphs, once believed to have magical power, became mysterious marks, beautiful but unreadable to all but a few. As the world grew more connected, the need for shared understanding led to the adoption of scripts that could be learned by many, not just a chosen few. The Phoenician alphabet, simple and flexible, spread along trade routes, its letters reshaping the way people thought about writing. In distant lands, the same pattern unfolded. Ancient scripts that had defined entire cultures were gradually abandoned, their stories and songs left behind as echoes in the stones of ruined cities. Yet even as these scripts faded, they left traces in the new systems that followed. The shapes of old letters lingered in the curves and lines of newer alphabets, a silent tribute to the past. In quiet libraries and hidden archives, a few determined scholars tried to preserve what they could, copying texts, deciphering symbols, and dreaming of understanding voices from long ago. But for most people, the shift was gentle and unnoticed. They spoke their words, learned their new letters, and let the old ones drift away like autumn leaves carried by the wind. The decline of these scripts was not always marked by violence or loss. Sometimes it was simply the slow turning of the world, the gentle acceptance of new ways that seemed more fitting for the times. In the villages and cities, children learned to read and write with tools their ancestors could not have imagined. The ancient scripts became objects of wonder, glimpsed in old carvings or fragments of pottery. Their meanings became the subject of myths and legends, stories told by elders to remind the young of a time when writing itself was a kind of magic. As the sun set on the age of the old scripts, a sense of quiet nostalgia lingered. The world had not forgotten them entirely. In the patterns of modern letters, in the rhythm of spoken words, the legacy of those ancient marks endured. They were the foundation upon which new languages were built, the silent roots beneath the flowering tree of human expression. And so, even as the scripts themselves faded, their spirit lived on, shaping the way people shared their dreams and memories, their hopes and fears. The decline of ancient scripts was not an end, but a transformation, a gentle turning of the page in the great book of humanity. As night falls, one can almost imagine the soft whisper of those lost voices echoing through the corridors of time, reminding us that every word we speak and every story we write carries a piece of the past. And as the world drifts into sleep, the memory of those scripts lingers, quiet and enduring, like the stars that shine above forgotten cities, lighting the way for stories yet to be told. Chapter 14. Legacy of Ancient Writing Systems. In the quiet hours of the night, let us journey back to the dawn of human expression, when the first marks were pressed into clay and the earliest symbols began to dance across stone and papyrus. The story of writing is a river that flows through the ages, winding its way from the ancient cities of Sumer and Egypt to the bustling world we know today. Imagine the gentle hands of a scribe, thousands of years ago, carefully carving cuneiform wedges into soft tablets, each stroke a whisper from the past. These early systems, born from the need to remember, to trade, to pray, and to govern, became the threads that would weave together the fabric of civilization. With each line and curve, people found ways to capture their hopes, their laws, their dreams, and their stories, ensuring that nothing precious would be lost to the winds of time. The Phoenicians, traveling by starlight across the Mediterranean, carried an alphabet that would echo far beyond their own shores. Their simple, adaptable script became the ancestor of Greek and then Latin, and so many alphabets that followed. As the shapes of letters shifted and changed, as they were adopted by new lands and tongues, the core idea endured: that thoughts could be preserved, shared, and understood by anyone, anywhere, across the ages. In ancient China, brush and ink flowed gracefully over silk and bamboo, giving birth to characters that carried meaning through beauty and form. The Mayans, deep in the lush jungles, etched glyphs into stone, recording cycles of time and the deeds of kings. Each culture shaped its writing to fit the rhythms of its language and the needs of its people. Yet all were united by the desire to leave a mark, to speak beyond a single lifetime. The alphabet, in its many forms, became a bridge across continents and centuries, connecting distant hearts and minds. As empires rose and fell, as languages evolved and mingled, the legacy of those first scribes endured. The Roman alphabet, still familiar to us today, traces its lineage through Etruscan and Greek, back to the Phoenician traders and even earlier to the Sumerian clay. Every letter we write is a living fossil shaped by the hands of countless generations. The invention of paper and ink brought new possibilities, making writing portable and accessible, spreading knowledge far and wide. Monks in quiet monasteries illuminated manuscripts with gold and color, preserving ancient wisdom through the dark and silent centuries. In bustling markets and royal courts, scribes copied poems, contracts, and proclamations, their words rippling outward in ever-widening circles. With the printing press, the written word leapt from the hands of the few to the eyes of the many, transforming society and opening doors to learning and imagination. Yet even now, in the digital glow of our screens, we are still part of this ancient tradition. The shapes we tap on our keyboards, the messages we send across the air, all trace their ancestry to those first marks in clay and ink. The language of code, the flow of text, the symbols of emoji and hashtag are new branches on the old tree of writing. We carry the wisdom and creativity of our ancestors each time we write a note, sign our name, or share a story. The alphabet is not just a tool, but a living memory, a silent companion that walks with us from childhood to old age. It holds our laughter and our longing, our questions and our answers, our history and our hopes for the future. In every classroom, where a child learns to shape their first letters, the story of ancient writing lives again. In every book, every poem, every message sent in the quiet hours, we hear the echo of those who came before us, reaching out across time with open hands. The legacy of ancient writing systems is not only found in museums or old stones, but in the vibrant, ever-changing tapestry of our daily lives. It is in the way we remember, the way we dream, the way we connect. As you close your eyes and listen to the gentle flow of this story, imagine the unbroken line that links us all, from the earliest scribes to the writers and readers of today. The marks we make, the words we choose, are part of a journey that began long before us and will continue long after. In the hush of night, let the memory of ancient writing guide you gently into dreams, where stories are written on the stars and every silence is filled with meaning. Sleep now, knowing that you are part of this great and beautiful tradition, a single voice in the timeless chorus of humanity. Chapter 15. The Enduring Power of the Written Word. In the gentle hush that follows the end of a long journey, we find ourselves drawn to the quiet magic of the written word. For thousands of years, people have reached for clay tablets, reeds, parchment, and paper, seeking to capture the swirl of their thoughts, the shape of their dreams, and the stories of their lives. The Epic of Gilgamesh, carved into ancient tablets and pressed into the memory of generations, stands as a symbol of this longing. In the flickering candlelight of a scribe's chamber or beneath the vast sky of a forgotten city, words have always been a bridge across time. They carry laughter and sorrow, wisdom and wonder from one heart to another, even when centuries pass between them. As you reflect on this tale, imagine the hands that once pressed stylus to clay, steady and patient, each mark a testament to hope and remembrance. The act of writing is both fragile and enduring. Letters fade, tablets crack, yet the meaning within them persists, waiting for someone to discover and understand. Through the written word, the people of ancient Mesopotamia shared their fears of loss, their yearning for friendship, their questions about life and death. These are the same questions we ask today, the same hopes we hold close in the quiet moments before sleep. The story of Gilgamesh is not just a tale of kings and gods, but a gentle reminder that every person, no matter how ordinary or grand, leaves a mark on the world through the stories they tell and the words they choose. In the cool night air, with the stars turning slowly overhead, picture the city of Uruk at peace. Its walls standing tall, its people resting, the story of their king, echoing softly through the streets. The written word preserves not only history, but the very feeling of being alive in a particular time and place. It gathers together the voices of the past and offers them to the future, a gift wrapped in careful lines and thoughtful pauses. Even as empires rise and fall, as languages change and scripts evolve, the desire to communicate endures. It is as steady as the river, as constant as the moon's reflection on water. In the silence of an ancient library, dust motes swirling in a shaft of sunlight, a young reader might uncover a story that feels both strange and familiar. The words reach out, gentle and persistent, inviting understanding. As you drift towards sleep, let yourself imagine the journey of a single story, how it travels from one generation to the next, whispered by storytellers, copied by scribes, read by curious minds in distant lands. Each retelling is an act of faith, a belief that words matter, that memories can be shared, that knowledge can be carried forward like a lantern in the darkness. The Epic of Gilgamesh, with its tales of friendship, loss, and the search for meaning, reminds us that our stories are never truly lost. They wait for us, patient and unhurried, in the quiet spaces between heartbeats. In every age, people have turned to writing to make sense of the world, to capture fleeting moments, to hold on to the things they love. The written word becomes a gentle companion, a witness to joy and grief, a keeper of secrets and dreams. When you close your eyes tonight, think of the many hands that have shaped the words you have heard. Imagine the warmth of the firelight, the hush of the night, the careful care with which each story was preserved. The power of writing lies not only in what it records, but in how it brings us together, across time, across distance, across all the boundaries that might otherwise keep us apart. Through stories, we find comfort and courage, laughter and solace. We remember that we are not alone, that others have walked these roads before us, and that their words can light the way. In the gentle embrace of the written word, we discover the quiet strength of those who came before, and the hope that our own stories will be remembered, cherished, and retold. As the night deepens, let the echoes of Gilgamesh's journey settle softly around you. Feel the peace that comes from knowing that every word written, every story shared, is a part of a great, unbroken chain. The desire to communicate, to reach out and be understood, is as old as humanity itself. It is a gift we give to each other and to the future. May you rest easy, comforted by the knowledge that your own story, too, is part of this enduring tapestry. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with gentle words and timeless wonder.